What's up everyone, I'm Demon Cringe, and ladies and gentlemen, today we got some stupid ass idiocy right here. So you all remember that amazingly terrible game called Lawbreakers? Oh yes, it was made by the washed up college dude bro of a game developer that is Bleszinski, and now it looks like he actually did an interview where he says he made Lawbreakers too woke. And to be totally honest, in my opinion, I honestly don't give a crap about the whole, the wokeness thing of Lawbreakers and all that. It really wasn't anything of that. It was mostly because the game was just completely terrible. So it says Bleszinski has struck gold with the Gears of War franchise, but his first time after leaving developer Epic, the team-based shooter Lawbreakers was not a success. That game and developer Bleszinski's Battle Royale Fallout Radical Heights failed to find an audience, and in turn, Bleszinski closed his doors and Bleszinski left the gaming world. Bleszinski is now taking time to reflect. He said in his post on Instagram, lately he's been thinking about what he could have done differently with Bleszinski. Each idea might have been to pivot hard when Blizzard's own team-based shooter Overwatch was announced, or he could have been more of a dictator with his ideas. Well, today I gotta say a couple things. First off, Lawbreakers, yeah, it was basically just a team-based shooter that was meant to leech off of the popularity of Overwatch. It really did not have any actual meaning towards it, you know. It really didn't have a reason to exist. And of course that was later reflected in their later game, Radical Heights. That game was obviously meant to leech off of the popularity of games like PUBG and of course Fortnite. I guess Bleszinski was a little bit salty that Epic ended up making Fortnite such a huge success after he left the company. He probably wanted a little piece of that pie. He probably wanted to see if his pathetic asset flip of a game would make some of that Battle Royale money as well. It also says, but perhaps a bigger revelation for Bleszinski was that he regrets getting political. He said he wishes he left Lawbreakers to speak for itself instead of being the white dude who shoehorns diversity into his game that smells of smug farts in the interview. Honestly, yeah, the truth of the matter is, game developers shouldn't really mix, real-world politics into video games. It's completely different when it's, specifically made for the game, like, for example, Kojima's Metal Gear Solid games, political and military fiction and all that stuff. That's all well and good, but yeah, if you actually take a look at politics in video games, especially the more recent ones like Life is Strange 2, it is absolutely terrible. And of course I do support his admission of being a complete moron, shoehorning stuff into his game, and yeah, just like he said, smell his own smug farts in an interview. Pretty much a huge truthful statement right there. Okay, so Bleszinski in the interview says, ever since the studio closed, I've been racking my brain on what I could have done directly, pivot hard when the juggernaut of Overwatch was announced, but less nice with my design ideas and more of a dictator with them. One big epiphany I had that I pushed my own personal political beliefs in a world that was increasingly divided. Well, that's because pretty much all politics are completely idiotic, to be totally honest. Instead of the story being that game looks neat, it became this with the game Woke Bro trying to push his wacky politics with the one gender neutral bathrooms. Instead of these characters seem fun, it was the studio CEO who refuses to make his female characters sexier. Instead of who am I going to choose, it became white dude shoehorns diversity in his game and smells his own smug farts in an interview, instead of letting the product speak for itself. That is very truthful right there, and that's one of the things that a lot of these hack game developers really need to learn, is that yeah, following the trends of the perpetually offended and the loudest voices in the room is a recipe for huge-ass disaster. He continues with, it's okay to be political when your company or studio is established for great products first, but we were unproven and regret doing it. This will be quite a doozy of a chapter in the upcoming memoir. As Bleszinski mentions here, he is currently writing a memoir that will chronicle his life and experiences in the video game industry. Now, I really do wonder how the hell that memoir is gonna sound. Oh yeah, like he joins Epic, like assists in the making of Unreal Tournament and Gears of War, he makes millions and all that. Later, when he leaves the company, he decides to pour millions of dollars into two garbage-ass games that were obviously only made to leech popularity off of other, better games and all that. Bleszinski left Epic after 20 years in October 2012, prior to the release of Epic's massively popular Battle Royale game, Fortnite. He started Bleszinski with former Killzone boss, Ariane Brucey, I hope this is how I pronounce it, sorry if I'm butchering it, in 2014, the team shipped Lawbreakers in 2017 and the early access PC game Radical Heights in 2018 before closing down later that year. And if I remember, Radical Heights had one of the lowest player bases ever. Actually, I think it had a higher player base than possibly Lawbreakers, but I'm not so sure. And it finishes off with Bleszinski is now pursuing one of his other passions, theater. He is an investor in the critically acclaimed Broadway musical Headstown, which he is also co-producing. Headstown earned a whopping 14 Tony Award nominations, winning 8, including Best Musical. Well, that's pretty cool. Like, if he actually wants to do something he's passionate about and all that, and he's doing pretty good at it, then best of luck to him. But yeah, when it comes to game development, he is pretty much a one-trick pony. Like, let's be honest, folks. Like, when you actually take a look at the Gears franchise, they're pretty much the exact same game over and over again. Now, here's the thing: I really didn't notice the other woke things that are mentioned in this interview. I only noticed those idiotic gender-neutral bathrooms. But the thing is, honestly, I really wasn't fazed by that, to be totally honest, because it's easy to ignore and all that. Like, it's not like everyone who plays games like constantly spends like hours with their eyes glued to the walls, watching bathroom signs and all that. The thing that really screwed over Lawbreakers was the fact that it was just a terrible game. Like, yeah, it was pretty interesting with the whole gravity mechanic, like it sounds nice on paper, but in the game itself it really didn't work. And not to mention that the server connection issues and just the overall balancing of the game made it really unwieldy. Plus, unlike Overwatch, yes, Overwatch is pretty stupid in terms of like the politic thing, with Blizzard and all. But at least the characters are actually diverse in the sense that they have like really cool looking designs and personalities. While in Lawbreakers, and none of the characters seemed interesting at all. They basically looked like the most generic Chinese action figures invented. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And of course for Radical Heights, I really won't say anything about that. It was basically just a game trying to leech off of Fortnite, kind of like how Lawbreakers was to Overwatch. And it was absolutely god-awful, so much more terrible than Lawbreakers, because at least Lawbreakers had actual like mechanics and good graphics, while Radical Heights was basically baby's first battle royale game. So yeah, everyone, that about wraps it up. Yeah, Cliff Bleszinski broke his silence about Lawbreakers, and yeah, it is a true eye-opener for him. So it's a good thing that he actually admitted his faults. I will give him props to that, but he still is a real huge asshole, so yeah. Anyway, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, press the bell icon, and if you wish to support the pitch link is in the description below. And as always, I'm Cringe, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.